Is recycling profitable?
The term recycling. Recycling is converting and processing waste and other materials in order to make reusable materials. Recyclable items. Some items that are recyclable include paper, plastic, aluminum, water bottles, toilet paper, paper towel rolls, bottle caps, and more.
Cost-benefit analysis, paper fibers. The yearly amount of recycled paper products a household generates is 299,625 tons. Out of that total, 200,893 tons is recovered and successfully recycled. By recycling, 6 cents per ton is saved by not having to pay freight costs for garbage. Also, by not collecting garbage, $53 per ton is saved. Landfills cost between $2 and $30 million, so by recycling, we can drop the amount of landfills needed to hold trash. The cost to recycle paper is collection costs of $85 per ton and sorting costs of $40 per ton. The paper to landfill ratio is about 14.9%, and by recycling, 67% of paper waste can be avoided being dumped into landfills. Cost-benefit analysis, plastic. The yearly amount of recycled plastic products a household generates is 42,303 tons. Out of that total, 30,114 tons is recovered and successfully recycled. By recycling, 10 cents per ton is saved by not paying for freight costs. As stated previously, $53 per ton is saved by not collecting garbage, and the $2 to $30 million for landfill setup costs will be lowered. Cost to recycle plastic is collection costs of $165 per ton and sorting costs of $300 per ton. The plastic to landfill ratio is 9.1%, and by recycling, 71% of plastic waste can be avoided being dumped into landfills. Cost-benefit analysis, glass. The yearly amount of recycled glass products a household generates is 127,841 tons. Out of that total, 71,064 tons is recovered and successfully recycled. By recycling, 8 cents per ton is saved by not paying for freight costs. As stated previously, $53 per ton is saved by not collecting garbage, and the $2 to $30 million for landfill setup costs will be lowered. Cost to recycle glass is collection costs of $113 per ton and sorting costs of $13 per crate. The glass to landfill ratio is 2.5%, and by recycling, 55.6% of glass waste can be avoided being dumped into landfills. Cost-benefit analysis, metals. Need to know information. Ferrous metals are metals such as cast iron and stainless steel. Ferrous metals tend to be more magnetic and vulnerable to rust. Non-ferrous metals are metals such as copper, lead, and nickel. The yearly amount of recycled metal products a household generates is 31,029 tons. Out of that total, 15,793 tons is recovered and successfully recycled. This number is lower than other recyclables because metal tends to rust and makes it harder to save. By recycling ferrous metals, we save 12 cents per ton, and by recycling non-ferrous metals, we save 18 cents per ton on freight costs. As stated previously, $53 per ton is saved by not collecting garbage, and the $2 to $30 million for landfill setup costs will be lowered. The cost to collect ferrous metals is $137 per ton, and the collection cost of non-ferrous metals is $184 per ton. Sorting costs for ferrous metals are $15 per crate, and sorting costs for non-ferrous metals are $20 per crate. Ferrous metal to landfill ratio is 51%, and non-ferrous metal to landfill ratio is 0.09%. By recycling, 50.1% of metal waste is avoided being dumped into landfills.
Who are the winners and losers? The winners and losers of recycling is determined by where you live. This is because recycling is taken more seriously in some areas than it is in others, which means some states have different fees and higher fines when it comes to recycling. There are 8,000 different recycling programs across the country. West Coast areas have the highest recycling rate at 80%. Oregon is the next with the recycling rate of 70%. Houston has a 9.4% rate. Philadelphia has a rate of 8.7%. Indianapolis has a recycling rate of 3.7%, and Oklahoma City has a rate of 3%. Who are the winners and losers? When it comes to recycling, plastic is the material that has the least value because it loses value each time it is used. Also, oil prices affect plastic in a big way. Recyclers win. When oil prices go up, the value of plastic goods goes down, and cost of plastic goes up. For recyclers, this would be a good thing because it means it is cheaper to recycle. Recyclers lose. When oil prices go down, the value of plastic goods goes up, and the cost of plastic goods goes down. For recyclers, this would be a bad thing because it makes it more expensive to recycle.
Before diving into the policy reform of different product classifications, we must go through a general understanding for where recycling stands nationwide. After doing research of the recycling realm within the United States, it is evident that the country is in a situation where the recycling market has to make new adjustments due to China placing its recyclable waste imports to a halt. This is very significant due to the fact that the U.S. sends off more than 10 million metric tons of recyclables to China. Now, this is placing recyclable waste demands back on America. In order for America to withstand this new decision China has made, there will have to be some reforms placed to bring forth a more efficient and profitable alternative. The first classification we have are paper fibers. The reform recommendation would be to place specific regulations on companies and or consumers of this product. Creating a government regulation that is implemented as a recycling tax on the consumer purchasing a specific item that contains paper fibers. Cardboard is a highly used product, especially when it is used for shipping other materials. Many companies like eBay, Amazon, and many others uses this product in order to ship items to different buyers. As of now, online shopping is highly essential due to the pandemic, causing even more cardboard to be used. Recycling taxes can be placed on cardboard uses and are reissued back towards recycling programs. The next classification we have are plastics. The recommendation for plastics would be to tax landfills. Basically a carbon tax, but for garbage. That could economically bring forth more recycling. Charging fees directly to companies for their use of plastic or packaging materials, and then pump out the revenue into expanding and upgrading the nation's recycling infrastructure. All public places should charge for plastic bags, and this will encourage the general public to use more reusable shopping bags. Next classification we have is glass. Inserting recyclable taxes on businesses that use glass bottles. Many restaurants, bars, and other establishments use glass bottles. With every purchase of a glass product, there can be a recycling tax placed. Funds of these taxes can also be dispersed back into the recycling programs in order to ensure better advancements within this field. The more recycled glass, the more CO2 is reduced. The last product classification are metals. The recommendation for metals would be to reconstruct the industry to accommodate consumers. We could continue to place taxes on a majority of recyclable products. However, other alternatives that could be more attractive to the everyday consumers would be charging consumers a deposit for every aluminum can they buy, and then they get the deposit back when they return the can. The more aluminum cans that are returned, the lower the environmental tax. And lastly, when cans are returned, they can simply be recycled into new cans with this system. This is also a great alternative for plastics.